Luka Doncic. Very rocky start to his tenure in LA.
For sure. And I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week. My assessment of it was that he was kind of learning the Lakers offense. They're a team that kind of has that established, or they're establishing their offensive identity, and Luka hasn't been a part of that all year. But it really seems like at this point he's lost out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, there's been a lot of speculation regarding why his stats haven't been great. He's usually a 30-point triple-double every night kind of guy. And, since he's got there, he's been like a 10, 15-point lackluster performance every night. And it's really questionable. And, people are saying, could it be him just playing second fiddle to LeBron? Is LeBron like minimizing his role? And I really don't think that's the case, because LeBron's proven time and time again to really put his other stars like on a pedestal and really try and make his other stars succeed. I mean, you look at AD in the past, D Wade, Kyrie, like he really tries to put the other stars in a position to help the team succeed. So what do you think the problem is with Luka right now?
I don't know. I mean, on the internet, we see that narrative a lot. People just spin all kinds of narratives against LeBron for any reason, literally any reason. And a big one that I've seen this week has been that he's just incapable of performing, with other stars. He's incapable of sharing the court. But, I mean, we saw Team USA, LeBron had to boss up. Steve Kerr just wasn't finding a way to incorporate everybody, and they just started playing team basketball with LeBron and Steph and KD. I think it could be just a hint of that Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson dynamic of you have the old star and you have the young star, and they're just not going to find a way to, merge the different styles. But at the same time, they're similar players. I mean, they're both somewhat bigger guys who, have the field goal percentage, and it's just hard to find a way to get both of those guys those carries.
100%. I mean, there's only one ball at the end of the day, LeBron can't touch it every possession. Luka can't lead it up the court every possession. Sometimes there's going to be nights where one guy doesn't play so good and the other guy does. And I think thus far it's been difficult for Luka to get involved. And I think a big factor in that is he just doesn't look confident out there. I mean, whether it's team chemistry, whether it's, his confidence being shaken after being traded from Dallas. I mean, I'm sure he was expecting to be there for his entire career. And, you're a superstar player at the top of your respective league, and all of a sudden your team just trades you for a bag of chips. And that's got to be, heartbreaking for the guy. He just took him to a finals. So I think that might play into it a little bit. I mean, we haven't seen Luka, this much of a shell of himself since like the beginning of his rookie year. And even then he probably looked better than he does right now. So I don't know. I don't view this as something that's not fixable. I think Luka just needs to get a little bit more reps under him as a Laker. I believe they play the Mavericks this upcoming week, so that'll be an interesting game for sure. If he turns on that switch of, I'm going to show these guys what they missed out on, and they're going to regret trading me because I'm one of the best things this franchise has ever had, or if he has another stinker performance, it'll really be interesting to see how he responds to that moment. So,
yeah, agreed. And I mean, everybody loves a vengeance game, but I think they're really more so with this one than in other instances that we've seen of a star getting traded away or, released with almost no explanation. There's some bad blood here. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the root of it is, but as soon as Mark Cuban leaves the building, Luke is gone, mm-hmm. and with no explanation. It's not like he was underwhelming prior to Kyrie and eventually Clay finding their way in, Dallas. He's been a star almost his entire career, and last year, leading them to the finals. And despite the defense and the poor conditioning, whatever you want to chalk up his, the faults in his game to, like, he's been an incredible star. I still don't understand, even with this performance that he's putting up in LA, it just does not make sense to me why he would have left that building.
100%. And, early on the first couple games while he's been in LA, he was a little timid and kind of deferring to LeBron and Austin Reeves a little more. But, I mean, you look at the game the other night against the Hornets, and he was taking a lot of shots. He was bringing the ball up the court most possessions, and he just, he looked almost relieved when the ball would go in. Like, he wasn't expecting it. Like, the guy just isn't, I don't think he's in the right headspace for basketball right now. I believe he took the following game off, so hopefully some load management and maybe that lingering calf injury is playing a factor into this as well. But I don't know. I do think Luka and LeBron are going to get it together. I think they just need some time to gel a little bit better. But I don't know. I don't view them as maybe a finals team still, and I don't think they ever really were, even after this trade was announced. But they'll still be able to make some noise in the playoffs if they get this together.
Yeah, for sure. I know you had mentioned before the podcast that there was a question about Luka's ability to lead. Mm-hmm. Do you want to speak more to that? Is there evidence that was a part of why he left Dallas?
Yeah, so I saw a report earlier today, and it was essentially saying the second Kyrie got there, he was the leader in the locker room, which is really interesting to hear because Kyrie's never been known as a leadership guy, as a locker room guy. Personality-wise, the best comparison for him is Aaron Rodgers, and we all know he's not a locker room or, team first guy. So hearing that during his tenure in Dallas, he was the locker room presence and the leader of the team over Luka is really questionable to hear. And, whether it's true or not, it really begs the question, like, is there more to the Luka trade that, people really don't know? I mean, you have well-known guys like Rich Paul saying, I know everything that's going on behind the scenes 99.9% of the time, and this is the one time I didn't know what was going on. Nobody knew that Luka trade was going to happen until it did. So could there be more to the Luka situation that hasn't unfolded yet? What do you think?
I mean, other than the rumors we had heard at the time of the trade of just conditioning and worries about injury down the line, or just not wanting to commit, to the Supermax deal. I really don't think you can question his leadership. And even if you do, how is that causing problems for him in LA? Because you're playing with LeBron. Mm-hmm. Like, there's absolutely no need for you to be a leader. I know LeBron's saying, stand the F out. Like, we don't need you to fit into our system. You are the system of the future. But, like, even then, in his first outing, he had a good amount of assists. He was playing more of the, the point guard role. And he hasn't even been doing that since. If he needs to get conditioned, like, LeBron is the absolute gold standard of conditioning at age 40. Like, I don't understand what's not clicking, but I don't think you can chalk it up to poor leadership because I don't think he really needs to be in that position right now in LA.
100%. And he doesn't even look like, big Luka in Dallas, when he was getting right near that 300 pound mark. He doesn't look anywhere near as big as he did back then. I mean, he looks a lot skinnier than he did. You had reports saying that he was 270 pounds?
270, yeah.
I mean, he's looking 230, 240 right now. He looks slimmer, and whatever that's attributed to. I mean, I don't think the conditioning is really the issue with Luka as much as it's just, the confidence. And you take a look at the game with the Hornets the other night, and why is Luka the one passing the ball in on the final possession of the game when you're down 3? Why is LeBron taking, the game-tying shot at the end? Of course, LeBron can hit that, but since he's been in LA, he's 1 for 29 on game-winning shots. So give your superstar a chance to make a play. Yeah, he wasn't having a good night, but why is he the one inbounding the ball? At least, use him as a decoy. Go get Austin Reeves open.
Put him in the play somewhere.
Oh, of course.
Right.
And, LeBron misses the 3 and they somehow get the offensive rebound and it goes right back to him. Like, you gotta find a way. And this isn't an indictment on JJ Redick per se, but you got to find a way to get your young superstar more involved in spots like that.
Yeah, and obviously I'm more of a football guy than a basketball guy, so what this automatically reminds me of is Amari Cooper in Buffalo. You trade for this star, and obviously Luka is way younger than Amari Cooper and way better, yeah. Truth be told. But Coop, at a point in time, was the receiver 1 in Dallas. Some Dallas teams that threatened to make a playoff run and never did. And then, he had some outstanding games with some Jameis Winston at quarterback in Cleveland. Like, you get him in Buffalo, you're not paying him anything. He gets a touchdown his first game, and he doesn't do anything else. Mm-hmm. He just never finds his role in that offense. And there were talks that it was because he was, I don't know, maybe just being used as a threat, a downfield weapon, but they were never going to target him. But people become savvy to that. And by the end of the Bills' playoff run, people knew that Cooper wasn't a threat, because Josh Allen just didn't have that chemistry with him. So maybe it's a chemistry issue. Maybe JJ Redick just didn't sign up for Luka and doesn't want to incorporate him this year. And, maybe next year he'll be able to build around him. But I mean, you've got to find an answer soon. There's absolutely no excuse for Luka not getting his shots in like that.
100%. I mean, these are the biggest sports brands in the world. Of course, if you're using somebody as a decoy, people are going to be able to tell. I mean, you mentioned the Amari Cooper thing. That reminds me of Tyreek Hill, how he was used all season. Like, he was dealing with the hand injury, so they're just gonna put him out there, let him do some cardio, and hopefully it opens things up for the guys underneath, like Achane and Jonnu Smith. So, these are professional organizations in their respective sports. If Tyreek Hill or Amari Cooper or Luka Doncic aren't getting touches, they can tell. They know something's wrong. They're not oblivious to these kinds of things. So whether it's the Luka calf thing, the confidence, deferring to LeBron, whatever it may be, next year I think the outlook of this team, depending on how LeBron looks, like you mentioned, it'll be interesting. I believe they paid Austin Reeves already, but how they're going to surround this team around these guys, whether it's bringing in a lot more big men that they're deficient at right now, bringing in more shooters, whatever it may be. It'll be interesting to see for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, and what you just reminded me of bringing up Tyreek Hill is that a report came out that Amari Cooper was hurt during his stretch with the Buffalo Bills, and I think that just might be evidence that it has more to do with Luka's calf than we realize. When you see these guys, these superstars, being used just as threats, there's absolutely no need for that. When, you could force the ball to Amari Cooper downfield, he's gonna find a way to pull it in 1 for 2 times. Same thing with Tyreek Hill. Like, if you get him on a slant, who's beating him?
Right.
That corner, if he's healthy. He's not healthy, and there are issues there with the wrist or the knee, or for Luka, it's probably the calf. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where, when Cleveland cleared almost all of Amari Cooper's contract prior to trading him to Buffalo should have scratched their heads at that and said, why are they trying to pivot out of him? And why not pivoting out of Deshaun Watson, who's obviously causing problems for them? And it's because Amari Cooper doesn't have anything to offer with his injury. It could be a similar thing with Luka. I don't see why you would throw away your future in Dallas when it's a temporary thing. It's an off season away from him being the superstar that he was. But if they're seriously worried about his ability to be disciplined and get conditioned again after recovering from that injury, then it would have a little bit more merit. And not making excuses for that GM at all, but at least right now, he looks like a genius because he avoided this stint of bad play from Luka. I don't think it would have happened in Dallas, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I think he may look like a genius now for these last couple weeks. I think that'll probably be short-lived. I mean, over the next couple months, I'm sure Luka will turn it up. But I think, so something interesting that actually happened today in relation to this whole Dallas and Luka thing. So Dallas actually dropped like a hype video, essentially, for the fans, like an edit of a bunch of clips. And basically anytime Luka was in it, they put a Mavericks logo like over his face to cover him. And it was just really weird, really targeted, unnecessary. But just wanted to get your thoughts on that and why a few weeks post-trade, like, why are they doing something so unnecessary? Why are they instigating? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think there's any thoughts to have. Like, what's the explanation? What possible explanation could there be behind that? That's something that, like, a fan would do, right? Obviously, when Braun left Cleveland. Like, they hated him.
Of course.
They hated him.
Yeah.
Luka had absolutely no say. And now the Mavs organization is trolling him. Like, that's the kind of thing you would expect to get pulled down right away because it was some intern that just hopped on the IG and posted that. But, if this is still being talked about, and how does this happen? How does an organization let him get away for next to nothing and then take a victory lap? That doesn't make sense to me.
It really doesn't. I think, we mentioned, like, these are professional organizations with, businessmen, rich guys that should know what they're doing, that are more professional than this.
But you got to remember, Jerry Jones owns a sports team.
That's fair. But I don't know. It's just weird that a professional organization would do something like that. I mean, it's not even like the guy left on bad terms either. Like, it was totally unwarranted. But I just thought I'd throw that in there because it, related to Luka and all that. But yeah.